give people a quick introduction to you, your approach to raids, and I guess how you've kind of come to be on my channel in the past.
Yeah, sure. So I've been playing now, what, 2 years, 3 months. I think it was around March 2020, which was a popular time for many people to pick up a gacha
Yeah.
game with suddenly a lot more free time and a lack of real life to enjoy. And I made this. I initially just started playing just as I said, as a distraction. I didn't really think about would I spend, would I not, would I do it free to play. I thought it'd only be a short term thing that I'd play for a couple of months, and then the world would go back to normal, and I'd go back to playing regular games on a console here and there, and having a life. But
Yeah,
that
just
didn't
quickly,
happen.
your mic's kind of cutting a little bit in and out.
I wonder why that is.
So you're kind of going like from loud to nothing.
Okay, that's quite odd. Let me just sit a bit closer to the mic, then maybe that'll help it in case it has different sort of levels. It's not a mic that I've used very much recently. I only got it like, I don't know, a month ago to try
Yeah,
and
it might
improve
be
the audio
it
slightly, and
might
it might just be picking up. If I move a little bit too far away, it might just be cutting out completely.
Yeah, that probably feels a bit better. Okay. Yeah, sorry man, you were saying.
Yeah, so basically, initially I was just going to play for a couple of months and the world will go back to normal. It didn't happen. So I hadn't really given any thought, would I spend on the game or would I do it free to play? Initially thinking that I'd only play for a short period of time. Spending wasn't really something that I thought to do. But then as I got more into the game, I made a conscious decision that I would stay free to play and try and see how much I could compete with the pay to play kind of players, and see just how far I could push it. People are saying that Mike is still struggling. Are you able to hear me properly?
I can hear you, but you definitely are generally quite soft, and then it goes loud out of nowhere.
Is that better?
Oh, that could be better. Yeah, that was definitely clear when you said, "Is that better?"
Okay, hopefully that will
Oh yeah, that
stay
feels much better.
better.
That feels much better. Yeah.
I just tweaked the gain slightly, so hopefully that will work better for this application. I think Discord has its own like threshold under which it won't
Discord could be funny
broadcast.
with stuff like this. Yeah, for sure.
I was probably just teetering on that threshold and cutting out constantly. Anyway, so I decided to see just how far I could push the game from a free to play perspective and just be as efficient as possible, kind of to the extreme, and kind of make that my niche or my thing. And that started, initially I went through all my champions through Minotaur. I didn't buy any masteries with gems. That was the first little challenge I set myself, and then
Yeah.
it just kind of snowballed from there. It was just kind of see what I could do with any given thing. So one thing that I actually originally came onto your channel to discuss about was the whole Faction Wars series, where
Yes.
I was trying to do that in a budget way, mostly because I didn't want to waste resources ranking up too many 60s. It would also take a lot longer, and it was just like a nice challenge to see how many 50s I could do it with. And I
Yeah,
started
because
creating.
almost every team that we showed was at least like 2 level 50s, if not like 3 or 4 level 50s to beat a faction war faction, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I've now done a Faction Wars series guide. So 13 of the factions, everything other than High Elves, is out now. And in that, basically it's all epics with 50s involved. There are a couple of legendaries included, like Syl, Visix, and who else? Whoever we get. Whoever we
Anyone
get.
that's kind of just
Drexar, that
achievable.
was it.
Yeah.
Drexar was the other one. So the only legendaries are the ones that everyone can get. And there's like a playlist for budget faction wars. There they are. And two of them I have used void epics. Unfortunately, I might go back and
Okay.
try and do it without the void epics on those two. But I've tried to not use void champions, tried to not use legendaries, etc. through
It's
that.
quite cool because there's actually not that many people that like hone in on this as content. I don't see many people doing videos, trying to beat. Some people do free to play series like I'm doing, but I don't see many people kind of hone in and say, look, I've played the game for a long time. Here's some different teams that can beat up these level 21 faction war factions. And, this is exactly the team I use and the type of gear that I'm running.
Yeah, exactly. And I think from my side, because I've got a slightly privileged perspective in that I'm not doing the content creation as a job.
Yeah.
I can pick stuff that maybe isn't as popular and won't get that as many views. So I've got all like these Doom Tower secret room guides, which frankly not many people actually watch, but they're there. So if anyone needs help on how to beat, force HP, force defense, rare attack, rare spirit, all of these, I've got guides on how to do that kind of niche content.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's all designed in a kind of free to play thinking mindset. So I've tried to use the most budget accessible teams as possible and explain the mechanics and what substitutions you could have.
Yeah, guys, I just dropped the YouTube channel in chat there. Like, if you're interested in this type of content, it's quite niche, but it's actually really useful. So if you're interested in this type of content, then give Ian Bad a sub and go and watch some of these videos, because he's actually got a really firm understanding of this game. When I've had him on my channel in the past, and we've done kind of almost like interview, but not really interview, like just a chat really about the work that you've done on your account. I think most people found it really interesting. It was in terms of how you'd gone about beating the game in quite a methodical way, but absolutely making sure that you didn't have to spend any money. And I don't know, am I able to log into your account and just kind of give people a sense 100%. Of what it looks like? Because it is weird to look at. Normally,
it's even weirder since you last saw it. I've had a few big pulls since then.
Have you really? Yeah, because this is and say you've been playing since 2020, yeah. So
yeah, exactly.
Basically 2 years. Let me just
get you the login details again, because I don't know if you've still got it anywhere.
Yeah. But it is interesting to see, because normally we get the reaction of there's absolutely no way this is a free to play account, but it's because you manage resources in a way which is just unique, I would say. And what I tend to say to people when I'm doing my free-to-play stuff is you just need infinite patience if you're going to run a free-to-play account. Like, I don't know if you saw, I was shouting at the screen, don't pull it, don't pull it. What was I doing last week when I pulled my ancient shards? I need a code from you, mate, please. Yeah, I was just like, what the hell am I doing? And I went and pulled like all of my ancient shards, which is now, and then obviously they then go and drop the best fusion that we've had forever, and I'm like, oh no, what have I done?
Fortunately, it was only the ancients you dropped, because the big value items are the voids and the.
But it just comes back to that, like, and I've been so good, and I'm generally pretty damn good on these accounts, because I know that I can just fall back on my own account for that kind of like rush of pulling shards, but you just have to have insane levels of patience and pick your moment if you're playing like true free to play. And this is an example. So you're 2 years in, totally free to play. I mean, I've got to say that Great Hall is insane.
We're nearly there.
That Great
Another
Hall
week or two
is madness. Like, damn. Are you just a regular gold 5? I suppose you are. Your teams are going to be strong, but that is actually mad. And you've got another one sitting there waiting to go at least.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's about sitting in gold 4 and now gold 5 and just using every token you get, trying not to ever let the tokens kind of cap out. So we get 1 an hour. So it's little things like that, which is make sure
and
they're
do you
all
still
used
play to
before you go to bed.
That kind of mantra of
always
keep. Because I remember this is how I started playing Raid, exactly like this. It was like I'd stay up late when I shouldn't be, because I was working the next morning. I'd be like late, using all my energy, using all my arena tokens, making sure everything was basically on 0, so that when I went to sleep, everything's just nicely refilling. And then you wake up in the morning, before you do anything, it's like, burn some energy, and then I can go brush my teeth, sort of thing. It's
exactly, and I still do, because I just think if you're pay to play, you can just not do that and put not even a lot of money, just a few quid in, and it'll balance that out. But because I don't have that fallback, if I let anything go, that's permanently wasted. There's never an opportunity to recover that. There's a resource gone.
I mean, I don't know if people have just seen the amount of shards you've got sitting in this account.
Yeah.
This is actually disgusting. This is disgusting right here. 306 ancient shards, 106 voids, 26 sacreds.
The
And
sacreds were
have
a
you
lot
been doing
higher.
events? Like, have you
Yeah,
been
I
doing?
mean, I had 42 sacreds recently, but then I had to summon. It was guaranteed Sikia. I wanted it.
Flipping heck.
And that came after there was another event we had to do. So I've had to burn quite a few sacreds in the last few months. But, you know.
That is insanity right there. And obviously, some people are asking earlier, do you think you're going to be able to go for this fusion? I take it you're just like, it's a given. Any
Yeah, I
fusion
mean,
you want, it's a
there's
given.
no fusion that's going to be, I'll be fine on any fusion. It's impossible really for them to throw something
Yeah.
that I won't be able to do. But it's
How do you
things
cope
like
with all these red dots, by the way?
it annoys me, but eventually you just get over it. And once you allow one to stay, what's
Yeah.
10 if you've got one? It is annoying, but
Why don't you use their masteries? I don't get this. Why would you not
so
fill them
for
up?
some of them, I haven't picked them because I don't want to. So, like the perfect example is Urost. So, say for Urost, there's nothing that I want to pick that
Yeah.
will improve his ability to do the content. So, I don't want to pick something that I'll then, if I need to use him in another piece of content in the future, I then need to reset the masteries. I don't want to do that. So, I prefer to leave them unselected. And then other ones, I just haven't decided. I haven't either used the champion enough or I just haven't decided what the second tree is going to be. So Skull Lord is a good example of a champion who I built very recently, Skull Lord Valgal, for Hydra. And I decided, well, I definitely want War Master on him to try and get some damage out of him. But I haven't decided if I want the support tree or the defense tree. And I've only used him in, say, 2 Hydra fights so far since I booked him and built him. And I'll probably do another week, another bit of testing, and then make a decision on which the secondary tree is going to be. And he performed really well. I actually highly.
Yeah, he's actually really solid, isn't he, for Hydra? Yeah.
Yeah, he dealt with 3 heads for me in one, which is by having him paired with Lady Kimmy with the increased speed and decreased speed on them. I was able to cycle around to that provoke to basically keep it up nearly 100% of the time, that 2-turn cooldown. So I was roughly going 2 for 1. So he was provoking decay out of the game. He had the decrease attack for when Wrath did pop. And yes, Wrath did come pretty quickly in my run. And then in addition to that, he was my mischief tank.
Yeah.
By having strengthen out. So he really nullified 3 heads for me. And that's difficult unless you have those void legendaries. If you don't have Krisk, if you don't have Tanarak, it's hard to find 3 mechanics that you need in a single champion.
Yeah, it'd be interesting for you for content for your channel. I know a few people here are interested, like, do you have your own channel? Which he does. I've put it into chat. It would be quite interesting to just almost have a walkthrough what champions you use for what content. I just think it would be quite interesting, because some builds, I know that you're very specific around the builds that you bring in, and I wonder if people would just be quite enjoy hearing you talk about why you're using certain people for certain content. But anyway, let's have a quick look at a couple of teams whilst we're on your accounts. It'd be quite interesting to see. Obviously, one of the reasons why you got so many shards is just because you've nailed Clan Boss. You nailed Clan Boss by a couple of kind of chats ago.
Yeah, exactly. I've been farming Ultra Nightmare for well over a year now. I'd say probably coming on 18 months. And it wasn't originally with an unkillable. I didn't have Bat Eater. I didn't have a Man Eater. Even one. So my first Ultra Nightmare team was a traditional Clan Boss team, even before Brogni existed, which made it a lot more accessible to more people.
Yeah.
So I was running Skull Crusher counterattack team with initially Lightsworn, and then Iron Brago took his place as the increased defense, decrease attack champion.
Yeah.
With a few other kind of very sort of run-of-the-mill kind of champions. I think Razin was there, Iron Brago, Skull Crusher. I mean, at one point with Nightmare, I was even running Madame Cerise as my drop defense decrease attack until they nerfed her cooldowns to 4.
Yeah.
And then I was using Stag Knight because I managed to pull him sort of shortly after that nerf happened. And it's these kind of like small things. An interesting thing, perfectly what example now that you've picked up Fane, is that, people have this obsession almost with, it's a damage dealer. You have to put her in crit damage gauntlets. It's like,
yes.
That's the thing. No, she's not. She's in crit rate. Like, my Relentless gear is not good enough to do it, but you can kind of compensate that by stacking more attack.
And is this a
2
2 key or a 1 key team?
This is a 1 key on everything other than Magic. It does between 78 and 82 million on every other affinity. Magic, it would suffer, but I generally always hit at void, so it's not really an issue.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, like, and that's where your optimizer is actually really helpful for people, is that you don't necessarily need crit damage gauntlets for a lot of builds. Sometimes you'll get a better result by doing crit rate if you need a certain set, particularly with Relentless. That's hard to come by.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to use the best of the gear that you've got for that, haven't you? And this, so what it's done in the optimizer is outweighted the attack you've got to compensate for the lower crit damage.
Exactly.
Which, yeah, that's interesting. So the people are desperate to see your book count, so we're gonna have a look.
Well,
I wonder. I'll tell you what.
that.
Let's have a quick, guys. Just type a number. How many epic and then how many legendary books do you think Eobad's got here? As a free-to-player, 2 years into the game, you can see all of the legendaries that he's got, and most of them that he uses will be booked. I know they will because I've seen this account before. Anyone who he feels is worthy of books will have books. So it's not like he just sits on them and doesn't play the game. He plays the game hard. So how many, and these, I mean, pretty much booked, pretty much anyone you use a lot, right, is
exactly
nigh on fully booked. Or if they're not fully booked, it's because you don't feel that still needed the book. And you got someone like Mountain King here that probably just think, you know what, he just straight up doesn't require books from me. So it's just
because I basically don't really use him anywhere. Same with Brackus. Brackus is only in Faction Wars. Mountain King, I kind of was thinking of booking him, and then he just never really made it into any teams. So he's just sat there as a 60, not properly geared and not booked. But anyone who I actively use gets books.
Yeah, and this is a fully free-to-play account 2 years in. So what we're seeing here, some people saying 100 odd epic, 60 Lego, 98.52, 60.20. 275. Such a wide range.
A lot of range there. It's nowhere near as many epics as people seem to think, because I book every epic as well. But
you've got 92 spare legendary tomes.
I broke the 100 mark before the last CVC. It was just something I wanted to do for my own. Little mini goal.
What's insane with that is that you are booking. It's not like you are just sitting on these books. You are booking champions that you feel need to be booked, and you've still got 92. And this is what's interesting. So I bet people at Raid must look at you as an example, as the one to use when people say there's just not enough resources in the game. There's not enough. You can't get books. You can't get shards. You can't get this, that, and the other. And I bet all they do is say, go and check out Eobad's YouTube channel. Because it's actually mental. Let's look at the chickens as well. Look at this. This is like, this is actually an interesting question. So, Kayutu event starting tomorrow. Are you all in for Kayutu? Or is that an event that you would absolutely dodge?
I would dodge it irrespective, because there's
you wouldn't even get involved. It's like you pretend it doesn't exist.
Exactly. I would have loved to have got Chris. Chris is one of the few champions in the game that would really change still my teams, particularly for PvE, because he's so good against Hydra. I'd have loved it, but just forget it. There's no chance. Like, there's always someone that can spend, and it would just destroy the balance of the account and the ability to do everything. That sustainability. That's kind of the way that I've always been trying to do these resources, is as long as I'm earning more resources than I'm spending, then everything I do is sustainable. And it's the same way I take to CVC. So I'll score between 300 and 400k each CVC. But it's sustainable because I'm earning enough resources that my resources are always going up month on month. So I know that I can do that every time. It's not like I'm just going out, blowing my load, doing like a 2 million points, one CVC, and then 0 for the next like 5.
Yeah. Man, this is a sexy build on Romantu, by the way. 273 speed, 746 accuracy. That is not bad.
I want him back in immunity, or actually now in Stone Skin, but my Stone Skin's terrible, and I stole all his immunity gear for Mithrala. So if you look at Mithrala, that build took like the best untouchable that I have on the account, which is what Romantu used to be in. But obviously this one with a slight more focus to resistance. There's a slight tweak, but
yeah.
So for me, Mithrala is fast. I know certain content creators, like recently, Mac Chan was doing his arena reset, and he was saying all these Mithralas are built too fast. And for sure, someone with his roster, he would build Mithrala slow. But for me, Mithrala is my solution against people like Hegemon and Kaimar. Like, she is my cleanser. I don't have any other way of fighting those kind of teams. I don't have that many cleansers who can resist a Kaimar and then cleanse the team. Mithrala is quite unique in that regard. So I use Mithrala on offense a lot against Kaimar and Hegemon teams.
Oh, interesting. Mainly because of the resistance type of. Is that what you're kind of doing? You're resisting whatever's coming at you, and then using your cleanse.
Exactly. Yeah. And then full team cleanse with a strengthen and a shield. So like between Mithrala and Duchess, I can pretty much survive any nuke. I can go second against anyone with my typical kind of go second setup there is Duchess, Mithrala, Asuga, and then either Tormin or Leoris as the nuke.
Yeah.
So Leoris with his passive or Tormin with his passive, like the combination of those four, I can pretty much win against any team on a go second basis. The only problem is Warlord. And there isn't really a counter in the game for Warlord, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, I guess she would still resist the Warlord, but she can't bring the team back on board.
Exactly. And it's a little sad that Warlord's that kind of unique that he doesn't really have a counter. And like they built Stoneskin as a way of countering a lot of champions or giving champions a chance, but Warlord's ability still goes through Stoneskin, which is nonsense, to be honest.
So I just want to grab a couple of questions from chat here as we're going, because some of them are kind of relevant as we go. So Sakari is saying, do you ever pull during like a 10 times event?
I do sometimes, but the approach I take is I like to pull if there's two reasons to pull, not just one. So I think we had the 10x we had with Lady Kimmy recently was a guaranteed for Kyoku. And I know people have said, will you go for Kyoku and all the rest? Kyoku was guaranteed, so I have Kyoku already.
Oh, so you got Kyoku already. So that wouldn't have changed your mindset, even if
wouldn't have changed my mindset. I wouldn't have gone for it anyway. But I do have her. She's currently sat at level 30, waiting for masteries.
Yeah, right.
Along with Gaius, just a little bit higher, and second Cantifon in that area. So there's a little queue of champions ready to go through the masteries, and they'll only get booked once they're masteried and potentially actually put into a team. So Richoff there is ready to be a solo farmer for Dragon 24 and potentially Ice Golem 24, so I can start doing those with food, for instance. That's like the next little mini project I've got there. But I think initially the next champion that I'll book out will be Kantra.
Right. Oh yeah, what for Hydra?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a bit of Hydra in a second, actually. So someone just said, let's check out his gold bar. So you've got 296,000 gold bars.
If you go to the bazaar, I do spend on TTA. Like I buy.
You buy a lot. You buy loads of stuff. It's all on cooldown.
Yeah, it's good value. I think it's worth buying if you can. Like if you're in gold, there's no reason not to be buying.
And talk us through. So I know we spoke about this in the past, but talk us through. How many battles are you doing on average a day on TTA?
So I'd say for the most part, I do all the tokens we get. So we start with 10, we get one refill each day, and then I'll buy the refill for 15 gems. So that's the average day. Is I'll do those 30, because paying those 15 gems a day to get those gold bars gets you quite a lot of resources, and it's one of the best returns in terms of resources to gems.
Yeah.
And then during CVC, I'll usually buy a few more. I'll buy the 15, the 40, and sometimes the 50 as well, because in terms of CVC points.
So you're doing at times 60 TTA battles a day.
Yeah.
But you sit, I just showed you defense there. So you're sitting on no defense, which means that generally you get farmed down low.
Yeah, and then I have
But you are in gold 4 here. We're not talking about someone who's in gold 1 or gold 2. Gold 4 is hard to be in and hard to stay in.
It is, and it's hard to fight back, and the fights are slow.
Yeah, like probably on now. We're on Friday, so probably from now, people are starting to turn their teams back on. I can see it actually.
You can see already. There's not many cheap
Yeah.
fights left. But it's because we're in a TTA tournament that I haven't changed my defense yet. So I'm going to try
Oh,
and leave
okay.
it late and do a surge on Sunday. I might fail. I might end up dropping back to gold 3, but that doesn't
Yeah.
bother me.
It's
I'll
not
get
such a
promoted
big
again
deal.
if I need to.
Yeah.
But I'm competing in that tournament right now because it's the best chance for me to get relentless. Because I'm not going to win champion training tournaments. I'm not going to win summoning tournaments. It's the only place that I can get
Yeah.
relentless. Basically.
Do you ever like go through all this sort of stuff and you're like, you know what, this is just starting to feel a bit tedious to play in
Yeah.
this manner?
Yes.
Because like I mean, I run 2
Frequently.
accounts, and like, some days I'm just like, oh man, can't really be bothered to do the full schedule of grind on both accounts. Like, but I do it on nearly every day. But not to your degree. Like, I don't refill the TTA. Like, I literally some days it's just like I'm gonna do my 5, so I unlock the faction war thing, and and like I certainly wouldn't be doing 30 on most days. But you're sitting currently second place, 20,000 tag team arena points. 20,000. It blows my mind. Where are you on the globals? Are you in the mix?
I'm usually always in the mix on global for
Actually,
TCA.
are in the mix. Like, we've got a free to player here, not far off the top 100 players that are in this tournament. Now, I know that it's not like a competitive tournament where people really care. Let's be honest. Like, it's not like I need to be at the top of this. But still, that's kind of insane. Like, that is a massive time commitment into doing it, surely.
Yeah, I mean, it is during those tag team tournaments, but they aren't that frequent. And I don't
Mm.
always try to win first. It's just
Do you often come
now,
up
I
against
think,
someone who's actually competitive to you like this? Because I'm surprised to see 2 people at 20 odd thousand, honestly.
yeah, I didn't think that he would keep pushing
Yeah.
so hard. I thought, once I got past 15k, he'd probably give up, but he hasn't. So we'll
Yeah.
see tomorrow morning when I wake up. There'll be, I don't know what, like 2 or 3 hours left, and I'll have another 50.
Have a full refill. Yeah.
I'll try and do another 40, 50 fights then, because I'll buy a few extra refills on this one. Because it's probably worth it. I have a lot of gems, and it's, like I said, the only really realistic opportunity for me to get 6-star Relentless. And with Hydra
Yeah.
now, Relentless actually has value again.
Yeah, because actually a lot of people are using Relentless or Reflex, and definitely for those nuking champions. And I know when we last spoke, we were both pretty down on Hydra. Yeah, that's I think a pretty fair assessment. We were both fairly
100%.
negative about Hydra as a bit of content. How do you feel now since the changes?
I think the changes are good, and they're definitely a step in the right direction. I think now that normal and hard are very much more accessible to a lot of people. I
Yeah.
think there's 2 kind of big problems still. One is that the hardest levels are still kind of quite roster locked towards people that have specific void legendaries, which is a little bit too restrictive, particularly given they're asking people to build 3 teams. And if you need 3 Krisks, or say 2 Krisks and a Tahanarak or a Venus, or you need like multiple specific void legendaries to get that working. That's a little bit too restrictive for a game that has, is it like 600 champions now? So
Yeah,
I think
sure.
that's one problem. 2, engagement. My clan still can't be bothered. They still think,
Even since the chat, this is interesting actually. So you've got 4. I mean, we're only on Friday and only reset a couple of days back, but normal has been hit 4 times, hard has been hit twice, and brutal's been hit twice. And obviously, you've got people doubling up here. So actually, you've got basically 4 or 5 active people hitting Hydra in your clan as it stands.
It will be better by the time, because a lot of people leave it late because they hate the content that much. They'll do it on the day before. Like, that's the standard approach, I'd say. But we'll still probably, of a 13-man clan, that everyone will hit clan boss every day. We'll still end up with 10, maybe 15 people will hit Hydra.
Which is weird. Do you think it's because it's not daily content?
I think it's because it's so manual and it takes so long. Like, a good key, that brutal key, which is the best key I've done, where one key.
Yeah, decent key, by the way. 30, was it near enough 40 million damage on brutal. Good key.
That took like 35, 40 minutes. I think I sent you a screenshot of it.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
31 minutes, and that was probably the 3rd comp I'd tried. So I spent probably.
This is the trouble, isn't it?
An hour,
if it was just
an hour
a 40
and 10.
minutes of a run, and you were pretty confident about the RNG that was going to come through, then I think it's acceptable. Like, I used to manual clan boss, regular clan boss, all the time. Like, it used to be before we had all the speed tuning as it is now, and before we had all the unkillable teams and stuff like that. I used to manual it to try and push my damage as high as I could. I really enjoyed it. Now, with Hydra, I'm enjoying it more and more, and I'm getting into that kind of groove of manualing, but I can't get... my mindset is still not in the same place as I was with Clan Boss, because I find it frustrating when you get that crap RNG and you have to just restart the run. And
I
if you're
think
like
that's the big problem, right? Because
20
Clan
minutes
Boss,
in,
it's
you feel like,
predictable.
what a waste of time that 20 minutes was. Do I want to then push another 20 minutes plus?
Completely.
That's
And
the problem.
I think the big issue there is like have 6 rotations, great. But just stop the other heads. Like if you just only had to deal with those 4 heads, I think that would improve it immeasurably. It's the RNG. You already have a lot of RNG within the fight, right? In terms of does everything line up nicely? Does it all fit? But
Yeah.
then which head you get respawn on a given run completely changes the run from being good to terrible
Yeah.
in a
And a lot of
and
time, it just a normal head respawning in bad timing can just destroy the run as well. Like if all of a sudden the head of decay pops up and you're just not ready to deal with it because of the timing of the spawn,
yeah,
it can just be like, crap, that's just completely destroyed me. But yeah, I mean, I certainly feel like it's better. I feel like it's more accessible. There's more champions now in the mix. I just feel like the provoke change is good. It makes it more interesting. It makes it more controllable. But I still just really wish, apart from on Nightmare, where I'm happy for them to do whatever they want to do, up until Nightmare, just respawn the same head that died every time. It's my view. And then people that want the kind of full crazy experience Nightmare, and maybe they push an Ultra Nightmare in, fine. But up until Nightmare, I just feel like we don't need the RNG of the different heads popping up. I feel like it actually makes it a less enjoyable fight.
completely. And I think like I said before, the other issue there is by allowing the other heads to come in, you either have to build a team that can deal with all 6 heads. And if you need a team that can deal with 6 heads, you need Void Legendaries to do it, realistically. You can't really otherwise. It's extremely difficult. Or you keep running it over and over until you get lucky with the head spawns.
Yeah.
And like that's not a good game design to encourage people to sit there and rerun the same content over and over and over until they get
Especially when
lucky
they know
RNG.
that they've also got to get onto that faction wars, then they've got to get onto the other stuff takes a lot of time. And it's almost like I'm allocating this time right now. I might be eating my sandwich or whatever to do the manual Hydra run. And I don't even think I've got my main account rolling right now, but I've done it on the free to play because I know that hitting normal is probably like a 5-10 minute run. But on my main account, we're talking a good 40 minutes if it goes well. And
Exactly.
that's a lot of time.
But that's why I think if they want us to deal with 6 heads, make it scripted. Make the spawn order scripted. Like the clan boss attack order is scripted. Make the respawns scripted. So at least every time you do the run, it's always going to be the same respawn order of heads, whether you're dealing with 4 respawning or all 6 or 8 in the future. As long as it's scripted and everyone knows that every time you run it, you're going to get the same order of heads respawning, you can start to plan and approach it in a methodical manner and not just be like, oh, the wrong head respawned, I'll just restart the key until the right head respawns, which is just like...
Especially as,
the
heads are much easier to kill now, so there's just an awful lot more, which is a good thing. Like, heads being killed is good, more damage on the dead heads is good, all that I like. But it does mean that we get a lot more respawns as well, and that opens up more RNG again. Like, it just opens up more chance for that stuff to happen. But I was going to ask you to, obviously you got Mithrala. So Mithrala was a big part of the reward scheme out of Hydra.
Yeah.
How do you feel now about doing Hydra for the rewards that are left?
I think the rewards are kind of okay, but they're just not exciting. I think that's the biggest problem with Hydra is people look at it and like a bit of gear that's probably going to roll badly and probably going to be bad gear unless you're getting like 2x chests on Nightmare, etc. You won't. It's unlikely you'll have any good sets so far at this point. I know I can't build anyone remotely in a stone skin or protection set that's going to be useful for me. So the gear is kind of, to me at this point, irrelevant. I'd almost preferred it if they had made it forge materials, so you could then forge the stone skin and protection, and you just get
Yeah.
more materials as it went lower. At least then you could use your charms and try and leapfrog a
boost what
bit.
you want.
Yeah, exactly. But they haven't gone that approach. Clan Gold is nice, but it doesn't have that immediate kind of feel good factor that you get with books and shards, because that's all anyone really cares about in this game: books and shards.
Yeah.
So you just,
But obviously not you.
but you know, it just doesn't have that excitement. So you spend what, 3 keys, say 30 to 45 minutes a key each week, and then at the end you click on a few chests and you got a bit of gear you can't use and some clan gold, and you're like, oh. Whereas during that whole week, think the amount of rewards you'll have got from clan boss in that week.
Yeah, no, it's kind of, I feel the same way. I think people probably work hard till they get Mithrala, and then after that, I would assume a lot of people either stop doing it altogether or might just end up going back to just doing an easy auto run on normal. Like normal, once you're able to beat hard, is just probably an auto run. And actually, you've got a pretty good chance on normal to get the mythical gear, which is nuts. Like the percentage chance is actually quite high, albeit you get less items dropped. So if you do get a gear piece, there's a reasonable chance it's going to be the mythical stuff. But yeah, I just feel like similar feeling. Like just gear sets now, for me, is not. It doesn't feel fun or enjoyable or that kind of like I can't wait to see what I got feel.
It's the same problem with the secret rooms in Doom Tower. Like they add more and more champions that aren't even good in Hydra. Like there was such an opportunity there in the Doom Tower secret room to give us some champions that would be really impactful against Hydra. So at least you knew when you were working through these secret rooms that you were ultimately going to get a champion that might get you, that might like be your mini Krisk to be able to fight Nightmare Hydra. But they've how many different legendaries have they put now in this Doom Tower? Like 9, 12, maybe 12.
I think we're on 2, yeah.
And they're just getting worse and worse since
Urus
is the only one that anyone uses.
Yeah, and even the new ones, if you were thinking, oh, the one they just added is great, you've also got to think, well, that's at least a year away. So that's a long time to be thinking forward, like, oh, I can beat Hydra in a year. And that's actually saying that, but the new ones are not great. So, yeah. Which champions are you farming for in Doom Tower? Where are you up to on the secret room stuff?
Oh, that's a good question. It won't, but if you go to my fragment section, because somebody did ask actually, how many champions do I have ready to summon on fragments?
God, yeah,
which is
look at this. Basatha's there, Val's there.
So I've just got Barsatha. So I think I'm nearly finished the one after Barsatha, who is the demon spawn guy. So if you just scroll down to when we get to the less than 100, Vassal. I'm on 28 fragments of Vassal.
Oh yeah, here we go.
So that's where I'm up to on the Doom Tower legendaries. But they're just so disappointed. Like, you know, Gumlock doesn't really get used anywhere. Barsatha has a nice mechanic, but it's not really enough to see him used anywhere. And like any one of these could be a really interesting Hydra champion.
Yeah, what's funny here, just going a little bit off topic, like your game, your account is so full of what you need to achieve the next thing that the next thing isn't ever an issue for you. And you know, just for anyone who's just joined, Earbad's here, totally free to play, 100% free to play. He's played for about 2 years. He's got like all of those best practice things I say in a video about fusions, get ready for this, do this, all of those things he has got in like bucket loads. It's just champions being ready for pull. He can literally do a champion chase, no sweat, without pulling a single shard, because he's just got all these champions ready to go. Yeah, and if he does need to dip into the shard bank, he's got ridiculous amount of shards ready to go. You know, if he's got to do champion training, he's got chickens coming out of his eyeballs. Like, what's your potion pots looking like? Totally ready, maybe to do a few more big arcane ones. But otherwise, like, and even then you've got a bazillion of the epic ones sitting there. Like, there is nothing on this game where you're not just straight ready to do it right now.
And that's kind of the philosophy that I said I've always tried to follow is as long as I'm using resources slower than I'm earning them, I'll always have the account in this condition. I'd say it's been kind of a little bit like this probably for the last year. It creeps up a bit more. So instead of having like 100 ancients in the bank or 150, it's now 300. You know,
Yeah.
instead of 700 brews, it's now 1,000. Instead of having 70 chickens or 60 chickens, it's now 100. But they're always going up a little bit faster than I use them. And the thing with the
Yeah,
chicken,
sure.
mostly I'm farming food the slow way because you get more points. And like I'm pushing those champion training tournaments to the events rather that have the legendary tomes, which are usually at 12 to 14k points. And to get those points efficiently, you need to be leveling up the food.
But that's
The
a
long way.
massive like when I see those pop up, I think 14,000 points. Damn. Do I really want it this time around? Whereas it feels like you do it every single time it's there.
I do, because it's a great way to get legendary books.
So how many hours are you popping on this like game on a weekly basis, do you reckon? Because you say you've got a full-time job as well.
I
Like,
do.
Yeah. So this isn't your job. It's got to be an insane amount of time. You've got to be on it a lot.
I wouldn't want to know.
Yeah. I reckon, because I used to do it, you know, in the first year of playing the game, and someone asked how long have I played for? I played for 3 years, so an extra year to Earbad's here. And I was absolutely this player. I did every single tournament, every single event. I cleared it all. And I played like it. On my phone, I wasn't using auto clickers. I played the game fully. So I played it fully, and I played it so much, I was like, I'm going to do content on this game because I feel like I know a lot about it and I can help people. And then actually the funny thing is, and I don't know if you found this actually doing content, but since I started doing content, I have less time to play the game like I used to, because I'm thinking to myself, oh, I could probably do something quite fun around that for a video, or I could help people with this. And I ended up spending like a few hours doing content where I should be doing the farmy stuff that I used to do. But obviously, you know, times change or whatever. But have you found anything like that since you've been doing your channel? Like you've just been like, damn, I'm struggling to do it all.
Completely. Like content is the biggest time sink of all of them, and I'm only doing, you know, maybe 1 or 2 videos a week, and it takes so long to actually come up with a polished, or at least what I think is an acceptably polished product. Like it's not easy at all.
Yeah, so you're doing, I'm just having a look now, you're doing almost 1 or 2 videos a week by the looks of it.
Yeah, at the moment I managed to pick it up the pace a little bit, but there was a dry period where I think there was like two or 3 weeks without any videos. But it's hard, and I have to say, like, it's impressive to anyone who does content on a kind of a persistent basis to always come up with ideas on how to make it interesting or engaging, and to do it in a way that's kind of useful. Because I mean, okay, I could make a video quite quickly if I didn't really put any thought into it and didn't try and make it informative and engaging.
And I guess also with your niche and with the way you play the game, like you absolutely have to kind of nail that home every time, don't you? Like this is almost like the gold standard way to play the game. Every time you're talking, it's the gold standard, because that's the way you play the game.
Yeah, and I'd say that in kind of my mindset on these things, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I really sit there on the editing thing, like trying to like clean up the video and make it kind of flow nicely, and interweave bits of music and stuff to try and make it like something that I would be happy to watch.
Sure.
And you know, I've never done video editing before, or kind of been someone who speaks in front of people necessarily. Like, and it's hard recording yourself and then having to listen to yourself. Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
You're like, will this guy ever shut up?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, it's been really interesting again. Thanks for coming on and sharing your experience and sharing your account with us. I always think it just helps to ram home a bit of perspective. You know, a lot of people that play this game just think it's impossible to do what you're doing. Yeah, it's just almost basically it's impossible to do what you're doing right now in terms of, you know, basically beating the game without spending any money and doing it almost in a land of luxury where you can just do whatever you want whenever you want. But you choose not to a lot of the time. It's like this land of luxury, but with insane self-discipline.
Completely. I
But
mean,
yeah,
that's the biggest thing is not it's not engaging. Like seeing the bait events for what they are and just not and resisting the temptation. I mean, that I suppose that's the way to summarize it. Best of all,
yeah,
is resisting temptation on a persistent
on a daily
basis.
basis, almost like block it out because you just got to do that TTA.
Exactly. And people are saying the champion training tournament will have a book at 10,000 points, so that'll be done. But you
Yeah.
can actually like you get down to the point where it becomes a sort of mindless science, if you will, and you can knock out 4 or 5K champion training points in a couple of hours. Like if you sit down and
Well, I
just do
can't
it.
disagree because when I was going all in for Trisk, I couldn't believe the speed that I was grinding points at. Like it was obscene, actually. You know, and I'd never really gone in for anything like that before, and I was just like, this is an obscene number of points that you can put together. But also, I mean, it burns your resources as well. So you kind of grow your silver, but you start to burn some gems if you go hard on it. But yeah, anyway, man, thank you so much. Really interesting chat as always. Guys, make sure you go and show Earbad some love on his channel. Make sure you drop him a sub if you want to get involved in how to play the game to that sort of level. If you want to look at stuff like how to beat faction wars with a budget team, if you want to look at how to beat some of the Doom Tower secret rooms with relatively budget teams, it's really good content. Like this guy deserves more views, more subs, all of that type of stuff for the type of work that he's putting together here.
Thank you.
Thanks for your channel out.
Yeah, I can see
No
that.
worries. Honestly,
Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure
No
to come on and chat with you and the rest of the stream.
Cool. Thank you, man. We will chat soon, no doubt. Keep that free to play life going, and I'll speak to you later.
Will do. Thank you.
Bye, mate.
Bye bye.